Yeah, I'm interested to see what he does this summer because I'm nervous, but at the same time, it's like, you gonna run it back? You gonna be over the cap team? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how you feel about this, but I feel like the conventional wisdom here is just to run it back. I know that there's a lot of fans who have talked about Booker, have talked about Zion, rumblings about Lowry Markkinen, or even KD. And to me, it's like, man, if you go out and trade for one of those guys right now, it reminds me of if you're playing blackjack, you get a 17 and you still hit. It's like you got a good hand right now. Let's play these cards. That's how I feel about this team right now. And so
Hmm.
much of the core is so young and still have question marks next to what they could actually be when you're talking about guys like Ron Holland and you get Ivy back and Duran's only 21. I mean, it just seems like it's way too risky to mark like trade any of those guys to take a big swing for the fences and hope that you can get something done. I know that Cade's broken out this year and is truly a star, and I get the feeling of wanting to add another star to make his life easier and increase the ceiling on this team ASAP. But it just seems like you've got a really good thing going, and running it back to me is like the conventional thinking here.
Yeah, I would be pretty open to just bringing people back. Maybe make an upgrade here or there. Maybe you take calls to see if um, Tech has any type of trade value. Maybe you give more of a bigger role to Bobby Klitman as a rotational, backup forward on this team, which I think is really intriguing to me because it's just the game today. And I get it was against Milwaukee's G League team and their second unit, but like he's a real NBA player, and I think a lot of Pistons fans didn't pay too much close attention to the Motor City Cruise, and I get it, I understand it, but like I think just running it back to me makes more sense. I get the Booker talk, the market, and the Jaren Jackson Jr., all that. I get it. Um, if there's a move to be made where Trajan feels that it could be an upgrade and he doesn't really have to maybe mortgage the future, I'm sure he'll be on the phone. Um, but I don't really think one of those big moves right now are in the cards just because if you, let's just say you trade for Devin Booker and like the conversation is like Asar Thompson. Like I think most Pistons fans are probably kind of like on the fence with that because I think that's what Phoenix would want. Because yes, our draft picks are released now because Minnesota is going to get it. But like, do you really want to give maybe two future, maybe three future first core guy like an Asar or even a Ron for a Booker, and it might not work out because like Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker to me, I feel like they like the same spots on the floor. Like they
Mm-hmm.
like those mid range. I think it could work because they're both smart players, but I kind of go back and forth with it. It's just like, well, could getting a Devin Booker really elevate this team from a 40-win team to a 50-win team being a top four seed in an Eastern Conference? I'm not sure. That's why I'd be more comfortable with just running it back and seeing like what a Jaden Ivy with this young core, developed even more, and having a JB for a second season and working with them for another whole off season would look like. Because first season, I love where we're at as just the direction we're going. I don't really want to rush the progress or tear this team up. I know it's going to happen eventually, where we have to make a move if we want to try to contend in the East, but I just don't think it's right now.
Yeah, and I'm not even entirely sure because there's a world where Ron Holland becomes that second star. There's a world where Jaden Ivey gets a lot better. There's a world where Asar gets all of these guys. Our core five is what I really think of when I think of our young team. And I know maybe some people want to include Stewart in that group. Stewart's great. I just wouldn't if there was long story short, Ron, Asar, Duran, Ivy, Cade. I think all five of those guys need to be on the roster next year, no matter what, because I feel like the potential with those five is just so crazy high as a core. And there's such a long window here for us to be able to capitalize on that. We won't have an Ivy or Duran extension kick in until not next year, but the year after. We won't have an Asar extension kick in until 3 years from now. We won't have a Ron extension kick in for 4 years from now. So you've got all these guys on rookie scale deals with Tobias's money coming off the books after next season, with Hardaway's money coming books off after this season. Who's to say that they can't sign a free agent and not have to give up any of those guys? in the future. I just feel like there's no need to rush this process at all because all of those guys I just mentioned are 23 and younger and under team control with their bird rights. So I don't think that you need to swing for the fences right now, especially with the way Boston is at the moment. I mean, be a tough team to beat in Boston. And I do like Booker. I like Booker a lot. And I think that I have the same concerns as you do about him sharing the same spots on the floor as Cade, but he proved a lot to me this summer at Team USA that really showed that he is a malleable player who can kind of maybe fit a different role than what he has taken on in his career in Phoenix. So I like Booker a lot, but the price would be too high. And I feel that way about every other name that's been tossed around. So I just want to see what this core is capable of.
I mean, that's fair with Booker. It's just, I think the contract, the price, like run it back, because like I don't think Jaden Ivy's done. And I know a lot of people are just kind of like, yeah, we'll just throw Jaden Ivy away when he had probably his best season shooting from the outside, shot 40% from three. Obviously, you know, pretty substantial sample size, I would say, but like if he was around like, you know, 36, 37%, 100% healthy, I think a lot of fans would maybe have a different opinion. I mean, he was giving you 17 points a game as the second leading scorer on this team. And who knows, like, if his points per game go up, if he develops more of a defender. I just think of all the running opportunities that we have right now, because we weren't really running as much when Jaden Ivey was healthy. I feel like we really started running when Asar was out there.
Right.
So it just kind of makes me think, like, what happens if you bring all this back, you bring this core back and just let them blossom, like let them grow together. I look at OKC. Like, I think OKC is such a good example. Like, OKC, obviously, they traded for SGA, but they've constantly built through the draft and just let their core develop and grow. Like, I think if they don't, you know, possibly, you know, make it out of the West, maybe then they'll, you know, decide whether or not they want to, you know, throw some of their players away or future draft picks. But I think the Pistons can take a patient approach like OKC has over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, 100%. Like you mentioned, I think a lot of people come to that conclusion that we could just dump Ivy because, of course, we really have played well without him. But I think that that's just a situation where that doesn't say a whole lot about Jaden Ivy, and we're already starting to turn the corner before Ivy got hurt. We had that West Coast trip at the very end of the 24 calendar year where Jaden Ivey hit the 4-point play in Sacramento and got Mike Brown fired. We were already starting to turn the corner before Ivy got hurt. Of course, Jalen Duren did not play very well at the start of the year. That was not on Ivy. Asar Thompson was on a minutes restriction. That was not on Jaden Ivey. We didn't have Dennis on the team. We were still getting used to JB's new system that was just getting implemented, a new coach with new veterans. And I just don't think that any of the success that we have had has been because of Ivy not being there. And I guess I could see how people would maybe draw that conclusion, but the dude is a lightning fast guard who has found a way to be able to shoot 40% from three. And that was his only question mark coming out of the draft, is would he be able to shoot it? Well, he is. So yeah, he's really, really good and going to get better as long as this injury does not hamper him, and doesn't seem like it will. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, but from my understanding, a clean break is totally recoverable to your peak athleticism. So I have so much faith that he'll be able to come back and only help this team going forward. So I get where people draw that conclusion, but there are so many other factors that have contributed to us really taking off after he's went down.